Welcome back to the news at 10. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who was earlier today in Kigali, the Rwandan capital, for the 25th national commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsis and moderate Hutus, is back in the country. The media advisor to the Vice President on his Twitter page notes that the President of Rwanda acknowledges Nigeria's role in drawing global attention to the genocide. Professor Osinbajo joined other world leaders to participate in ceremonies marking the event, including the Kigali Genocide Memorial, the wreath-laying ceremony and lighting of the flame by the President of the Republic of Rwanda and special guests. 25 years ago, there was massive killing of Rwandans across ethnic lines. In 2003, the United Nations General Assembly officially proclaimed April 7th the International Day of Reflection on the 1994 genocide against the Tutsis in Rwanda. In the meantime, the people of Rwanda have been reflecting on the massacre that took place 25 years ago. President Paul Kagame, in his speech, asked survivors of the genocide to forgive and continue to live together as members of one nation. He says although 60% of those in the country today were born after the genocide, the country cannot afford to promote ideas that would make the country better than it was in the pre-genocide Rwanda.
Survivors are the only ones with something left to give, their forgiveness. And that is their forgiveness. Our people have carried an immense weight with little or no complaint. This has made us better and more united than ever before. At a memorial event some years ago, a young girl, brought us to tears with a poem. She said, "There is a saying in Kinyarwanda that God spends the day elsewhere but returns to sleep in Rwanda." And then she asked in a chorus, "Where was God on those dark nights of genocide?" Looking at Rwanda today, it is clear that God has come back home to stay, as we heard earlier.
Rwandan President Paul Kagame. The country is expected to mourn for 100 days, the time it took in 1994 for over 800,000 Rwandans to be massacred. Here's a background report on how it all began. Our correspondent, Jesulayomi Adigoke, reports.
The Rwandan genocide may be over, but its effect still lingers on in the lives of victims and survivors, as the country marks 25 years since the mass slaughter. This is how it all began. In 1990, rebels of the Tutsi-dominated Rwanda Patriotic Front, led by now President Paul Kagame, invaded northern Rwanda from neighboring Uganda. Their success prompted President Juvenal Habyarimana, a Hutu, to speed up political reforms. In August 1993, Rwanda and the RPF signed a deal to end years of civil war, allowing for power sharing and the return of refugees. But the president was slow in implementing it, and a transitional government failed to take off. On April 6, 1994, an aircraft carrying President Habyarimana and neighboring Burundian President Cyprien Ntaryamira was shot down, sparking the massive violence.
Joining us now is Lecturer of Law at Nasarawa State University, Mr. Chukwuemeka Eze. Thank you for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you.
It's been 25 years. I know you've had, we've been discussing this almost every year, since we started. And what are we learning now? How not to deal with messages that push people along ethnic and tribal lines?
That's a good one. Actually, the media in Rwanda in 1994, prior to 1994, played a key role. The radio, television, the colonies actually sensitized people and incited people, incited the Hutus to kill the Nyenzi, that's the cockroaches. They regarded the Tutsis as Nyenzis. In 2013, I was in Kigali. Beyond Kigali, even the Nyanza, the palace of the former king of Kigali, of Rwanda. And all this, one thing I noticed is that in all the explanations, nothing tribal was mentioned. And I began to ask why. So I learned that the Constitution of 2003 in Rwanda banned usage of tribe. No form contains anywhere you feel your ethnicity, your tribe. So these are some of the outcomes, but it was a horrible situation. What happened in Rwanda has actually brought so many lessons for us to learn. Yeah. Yes.
Let's talk about those lessons that we're to learn, because it might appear that some of the symptoms, the same situations that presented themselves back then still exist right now. And the only other country I think that is close to what Rwanda has done is probably Ethiopia, whose new prime minister is also preaching peace and, banishing those ethnic and tribal sentiments.
Sure. The colonialists played a key role. You recall that the division of Africa, partition of Africa, 1884, 1885, Rwanda, Burundi was given to Germany. Germany had the place as a colonial power until it lost the First World War, and the League of Nations mandate was given to Belgium. Belgium actually continued to promote what Germany left in place. That is divide and conquer. They eventually, in the 1930s, established an identity caste system that separated the people. So that continued until the first revolution in 1959, when the Hutus began to revolt against the system that was supported by the Tutsis. The Tutsis were defined as anybody that had 10 cows or more. It was not really a tribal thing, but the colonialists made sure they turned it tribal and ethnic. So one of the lessons is that once the colonialists have laid a seed in a country, it's difficult to overcome it. And Rwanda is still suffering from what Belgium did in their country before their independence in 1962.
But they're well on the way to recovery, certainly.
They are on the way to recovery. But how long will these reforms actually transform Rwanda is a matter for discussion on another day, because from 18-something to 1960, the Tutsis were in power. Despite that, between 1960 and 1994, the Hutus were in power. So what Kagame, who is a Tutsi now, is doing, how far it can go will be dependent on many factors, far beyond the ceremony.
And how long he'll be in government also. Today. Mr. Chukwuemeka Eze, thank you again. As always, a pleasure having you on the News at 10.
I'm grateful.
We move from there to the arts. If you're a lover of history, then this one is for you. Art Review tonight takes you on a cultural journey about Yoruba told on canvas.
Culture has been described as the way of life of a people. The rich and diverse nature of Yoruba culture has been exhibited here for all to see and written in a book called Treasures of the Yoruba Arts, Tradition and Cultural Heritage.
I want to do collection of our Yoruba deities because, in the olden days, we don't know more about Yoruba culture. That is what I want to portray. And I want most Yoruba people to understand, our children to know that Yoruba culture is a rich cultural heritage.
It's a collection of works of art and research carried out by veteran self-taught artist Mrs. Erat Abaniwanda Adeyeye during and after her active service with the Nigerian Security Printing and Minting Corporation as Assistant General Manager and Head of the Graphics Section. The venue is apt, as the National Museum is already a place of history, so it all adds up that treasures of the Yoruba art, tradition and cultural heritage are revealed by a woman who feels the need to impact the next generation with her wealth of experience and knowledge.
I'm a Yoruba and I want to let everybody know that I'm a Yoruba race. That's what inspires me, and there has never been a dull moment in my life. I enjoy drawing, painting. I wish I will do till the rest of my life.
Subjects like the creation of the world, according to Yoruba mythology, are displayed. We see works of art such as Obatala, creation of human, done with picture collage on board, to an acrylic on-canvas medium of Obatala and Oduduwa. Several other festivals are also presented in pictorial history. This show isn't just to celebrate an ancient custom, but a veteran female artist at 75.
So ahead of the news at 10, Watford bounced back from 2 goals down to beat Wolves in the semi-final of the English FA Cup. We'll have more in sports news. Stay with us.